From the Bengals' final contest, preseason contest, to the Reds' playoff push, and FC Cincinnati chasing the top of the table. This week in Cincinnati sports has anything but been quiet. But the real question is, which team is ready to deliver when it matters most? Stick with us because we're breaking down UC's football key players and giving our preseason predictions. Plus, we got our weekly trivia challenge and a debate you won't want to miss. Let's get into it. This is Cincinnati Sports Scene Podcast, episode 142. All right, heading into our topic of the week, quick hitters. Let's start with the Bengals preseason. Actually, let's start with FC Cincinnati. And go ahead, Sam. It was they got some new players in.
Yeah,
old players.
Did. Well,
old players went away.
Old players, yeah.
So go ahead and just fill us in of what was happening here this past weekend with FC Cincy.
The big one was Brenner is back on loan from his Udinese over in Italy, which was kind of out of nowhere and a surprise. Like, there were no rumors regarding that. Nobody even knew they were looking at a striker. They brought him back, and they ended up letting Sergio Santos go. Santos is a kind of a fan favorite. Everybody loves his energy. I mean, not necessarily. He only had 10 goals, I think, in like 50-some appearances for us. So, I mean, not a great goal scorer, and that's kind of what you need out of your striker. He was more of a sub, high-energy type of player. So it'll be a little sad to see him go. To bring Brenner back is that's kind of unbelievable. I mean, that was massive. Another departure, DeAndre Yedlin left for Real Salt Lake, which kind of seemed like a bit of a shock. But this is kind of a side tangent. It's just a bone to pick with MLS. Like, imagine, the Los Angeles Dodgers trading away Freddie Freeman at the trade deadline while they're in contention to win the World Series. Like, that doesn't happen in any other sport where a team in first place is trading away starters. But that's kind of just how soccer works, just how it lines up with transfer deadlines and stuff. But they were able to actually bring in a separate deal somebody, a winger from Real Salt Lake. I can't remember his name. He's a Polish international guy, plays for their national team. So, I mean, he's a young guy who has some promise. Bring him back. They'll convert him into a wing back, and probably he'll end up taking Yedlin's spot. I mean, all in all, they made some great moves. Very high praise. Albright was getting praises from everybody across MLS with the moves that he was able to pull off, because he kind of pulled them off the last day of the transfer deadline, or the transfer window for MLS. So he's kind of up against it to get everybody in that he needed to. Yeah, so I mean, that's huge for the stretch run. I think they've got like 7, maybe 6 now after yesterday, regular season games left. So I mean, these moves were strictly for the playoff push, and the playoffs. They brought Brenner back, who has that experience. So I mean, it's going to be exciting. I think they're kind of going to be the team come October that's going to be exciting in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, and it just goes to show you that what we've been talking about here for the last 2.5, 3 years on this podcast is that FC Cincinnati's front office is not afraid to. It's not afraid to make a move. They're trying to do everything they can to better their squad, not just for the regular season or for long term, but for the now and for the playoff push, right? Like just what you said. And our other two front offices could maybe look at them and say, because I will tell you, I mean, football is always going to be king just because the NFL, the marketing is just, and everybody for some reason. But baseball, I mean, Cincinnati is a baseball town, but if FC Cincinnati can continue to do the things that people are going like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. They're really trying to bring back a championship. To Cincinnati.
I mean, if you think about, like, Kevin Denke is the most expensive transfer fee ever paid for anybody in MLS. FC Cincinnati paid that. Evander is the largest transfer fee between MLS teams. FC Cincinnati paid that. Like, they have the 2 largest transfers in MLS history. Not New York, not LA, not Miami. You're like, all those teams have big name players, and they're signing these guys at the end of their career for free or next to nothing. So it's not like Cincinnati's getting, like, Denke is a 21-year-old who was playing in Europe, and they brought him over.
Yeah.
Like, they're shelling out serious cash in order to get these guys in because they want to win. I mean, the Reds and Bengals could both take a page out of their playbook. And I'll tell you what, nobody's more excited right now than the Reds because MLS, it's not confirmed yet, but in about 2-3 years, they're going to flip to that fall through winter schedule like the rest of the world. So, I mean, nobody's going to be more happier than the Reds.
Right.
Because you're right. I mean, Cincinnati's a baseball town, but FCC's been creeping and creeping and creeping. But the fact that year after year they have gone for it and are going to continue to go for it, I mean, that just speaks volumes that they want to win.
Right. And let's hope that these moves pay off, right? Let's hope that
and I think they will. I think the Yedlin one's going to hurt them the most just because, I mean, veteran player, really good right back who can get forward and is really good defensively. So, I mean, that'll be kind of their toughest replacement. But the depth that they have now is, I mean, like, they're not Premier League good, but they could go play in Germany and be a competitive team. They could go play in Italy and be a competitive team with their depth.
Yeah.
So hopefully that can translate to the MLS because, you know, MLS can be a little fluky just for whatever reason.
Excuse me. Yes, you're right. You're right. It can be, and you know, it's sort of like last year, right? When we have to go play New York City on their crappy field.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those quirky things that MLS and the way their playoffs. You know, they got the best 2 out of 3 in the first round, and then
right for no reason,
sudden death and or you know single elimination from there on. And it's like what does not make any sense. But you know, well, here's to Cincinnati making the bold moves that the other 2 franchises around here don't or won't. And let's just hope that you know somebody will be able to lift up a championship trophy here in the near future. All right, moving on to the Bengals. The preseason wrapped up this past week with a thrashing against the Colts. It's just, you know, which, I mean, you know, and they lost to Washington. No, they beat Washington. They lost to their opener, Philly. So they were 1-2 in the preseason. Let's talk a little bit about the highlights for the preseason. Anything stood out?
Tinsley, the wide receiver.
Yeah.
Right, that's his last name.
Yeah,
right?
Michael Tinsley.
Yeah. I mean, that Washington game, he solidified his at least a roster spot. I mean, where they'll end up slotting him on the depth chart, you know, probably 4. But I mean, it seems like Burrow really likes him.
Yeah.
I know Browning was throwing it to him, but I mean, some of the Bengals beat guys, they were saying Burrow really likes him too. And if Jermaine Burton's not going to screw his head on straight.
Well, he's injured right now. You know, Jermaine Burton got injured.
Well, that might be the best thing for him.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, we'll know more this coming week whether or not he's going to be placed on the IR for 6 games or if he's going to go day to day. But that's going to slide him down a little bit. And Charlie Jones had a great camp, especially early in the camp. He was catching everything from Burrow, and you know, and if he's healthy like he was coming out of Purdue, I mean, the guy can fly. He can run. I mean, we saw it, right? He can take punts back. He can take kickoffs back. It's just we haven't had that in a long time here in Cincinnati, and you know, he needs to be healthy because he could slide into that slot receiver now. You know, or that 4th receiver, and Tinsley can be that, you know, 4th, 5th guy. You know, those guys are interchangeable. Well, I wouldn't say interchangeable, but they're 4-5 interchangeable. In terms of numbers, but where they're playing at, there'll be Charlie's more of a slot, type of thing. So my next question then, the preseason once again, really, you know, you don't show a whole lot. So their defense was not very good, especially in the run, especially in tackling. And, you know, Zach Taylor and Al Golden both said that they wanted to just have a vanilla defense out there. You know, my question to you know, is it vanilla or are they just bad? Because
I mean, it was vanilla, but they're also just bad because you saw last year with Lou's defense that was complicated and complex, and they were bad. I mean, they missed tackles and they were out of place all the time. I mean, I don't know what the calls were. They said it was vanilla, so I can't imagine guys were out of place. But if they're not making plays,
that's concern,
that's
right?
even worse, you know, because at least last year you had to hope, well, if they can get this scheme down, they'll start making plays and they'll be all right. But now, I mean, if they're just, you know, playing basic shell defenses and they can't make plays, that's some cause for concern. if Trey's back, that obviously that helps.
Yeah, but does it really? I mean, because here's the question. I mean,
Well,
Trey's
it does from
strength.
the fact that Trey can at least make some individual plays.
Yes, I will agree that. But as far as the overall
Defense, it
package,
probably doesn't help all that much.
right? I mean, he led the league in sacks last year, and it really didn't help.
Yeah.
If he doesn't focus on the run, helping the run, I don't know. Chris Jenkins, they're saying that he had a good camp this year. He was injured. Pretty much he missed all of camp last year and just trying to work himself back in. Now, when he was at Michigan as senior, he did really, really well, clogging the middle and stuff up to that, on their championship run team. And, we're hoping that he can step up. Stewart's going to have to step up. He's going to have to get in and play a lot.
Yeah.
My concern is the back end. Logan Wilson, Knight, they did not have great camps, preseason games. Jordan Battle, who's supposed to be, I had high hopes for Jordan Battle, but him not hitting Jaden Daniels on that 14.
Yeah, that was.
What are you doing? I mean, I know it's
That's what you live for that as a defender.
Yes.
The chance to just obliterate a quarterback. God.
So
it just should, you can't go into if you're in the game in preseason, you have to treat it like a real game. You can't, I don't want to light him up because it's a preseason game. No, if Jaden Daniels isn't going to respect it, light him up.
Exactly.
Knock him out of the game. If he wants to run around like it's the regular season, you've got to play defense like it's the regular season. How he didn't, I mean, goodness, imagine, Brian Dawkins, Daniels would have left the field on a stretcher, jumping around like that. I mean, for crying out loud, that's our main problem, honestly, with our defense is we're
not aggressive. Well, I won't say aggressive, but we just don't have that.
We don't have that fight. We don't have that dog.
We don't have the.
As I don't want to say it, we don't have a perfect who will just do that.
Back when I was growing up, in the late '80s, early '90s, it was David Fulcher, right? David Fulcher was the Ronnie Lott in the those type of guys. Now you don't want them to be dirty, but you want them to let them know that hey, if you're coming here,
in his chest.
If you're coming in my area, we're going to light you up, and it's going to be all day long. And that was not the case. And speaking of not the case, yesterday 1 p.m. down on the river, Paycor Stadium, it was just a bad game. I mean, Desmond Ridder, we love him here in Cincinnati. Everybody's
I was hoping he'd be able to.
Everybody was. I wouldn't say everybody, but the fans who really don't know the game and don't understand what Cincinnati was trying to accomplish with bringing Desmond Ridder in, because Zach Taylor all along said Jake Browning is the number 2 guy.
Right.
So Desmond and I can't remember the other quarterback we have, but they would be competing for a practice squad, maybe.
Right.
Or the emergency type quarterback. And it's just he did not perform well. Now, they gave him a long look. Maybe if he does get cut, maybe another team picks him up and gives him a chance, because there have been a couple of backups that have been injured. And I know Philly just traded for Minnesota's backup, and I think Minnesota then signed Carson Wentz as the back. I mean, so there's moving parts out there. And I think that's what we're probably going to be looking at here in the next 4, 5, 6 days is, the waiver wire, who got cut, and is there going to be an offensive guard that has experience and played?
Reisner
is still out
he
there.
Came on a visit. I don't know how they let him leave without a contract.
Well, because he said he wants to do all his visits first, because he went to Pittsburgh and then Minnesota's still interested in him. So it's what, I don't understand. That's the thing. It's let's get him in here, especially when 2 of our guards are hurt. It's we have to have somebody else.
Right, Bolson's, they're talking he's going to be out for the year.
He's done for the year. And it's and
then Cody Ford right there.
And Cody Ford is injured right now, so he's week to week. We don't know. But next week we're gonna be breaking down all the Bengals stuff, preseason type of things, and get you ready for the opener against the Cleveland Browns on the 7th. I believe that's when it is. If I got my days correct here, September 7th. Yep, at Cleveland. So let's hope that the Stripes can do something opening day this year.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk the Reds here. Angels
Didn't get swept again.
Nope, they did not get swept. The one team that cannot get swept. But once again, the Angels, we took 2 or 3. We should have probably took all 3 of those. And then Arizona, we should have won the first game. Second game, Abbott got lit up, and he's starting to worry me a little bit because he's hitting that stretch that he had last year.
No, it was 2 years ago, his rookie year.
Well, but last year he had a stretch.
I remember it 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago he was at his limits and he was trying to push through. Yeah. But last year they put him on the IL or something like that. That and because he was like, we need to rest you a little bit. He worried. That's worrisome a little bit. If Lodolo comes back, they might. I don't know if they're going to do anything with him because I don't think you can go 15 days without Abbott. And if you can skip his term one time and do a bullpen game or something just to give him a little extra rest. And I just don't know. But Hunter Greene, dominant against the Angels. And then once again, we're talking about an injury that, we're playing down a man with Ty Steve. And next thing you know, he has a broken thumb. So we have to call up our rookie who in that moment where, we had an opportunity to probably win the game in extra innings. Trevino's on third base. They didn't want to pinch run for him because by all means and all accounts, this guy, our backup, the catcher now, is supposed to be the best defensive catcher and have the best arm on the team. And Francona that's not a good situation trying to come in a pressure situation and catch.
Yeah, he said he didn't want him to make his debut in extra innings like that.
Yeah. And I'm like,
who cares?
Who cares? If
he's not hitting, he's going to catch.
Yeah. And that's what he's here for.
Yeah. If he's your stud defensive catcher, and that's like the only reason he's even progressed this far in his career, like what's the downside of, scoring that run there, going up 2, and then winning the ball game? That's some of the moves, I question, or lack of moves I question. And, Tito he's got us a game and a half, right? Because right now we'd be 10 games out with Tinkerbell. Yeah.
And it's just, it's just one of those things. So I don't want to, but, it just questions, I just question a little bit of like, but he knows his team better than us, even though we follow him and we've been following him for a while. He's got that hunch and things. I just don't know. 30 games left, 29 games left, regular season. Mets lost to the Braves. So thank you, Atlanta. Went down from 2.5 to 1.5. And, the problem is we've got 3 more on the West Coast. And anytime, it's the proverbial West Coast trip killer, right? But we've so far,
they're 500 so far. So I do have an issue with the scheduling. We're in LA, Arizona. Now they're going back to LA.
Right.
Why they just not play the 2? LA.
And they come to Arizona and they go home. Yeah, it's just one of those.
Where if MLB made their schedule with a computer, they could have figured that out. But now they have to do it by hand.
Right.
Because Rob Manfred. Change everything else about the game, but can't change how you make the schedule. You gotta have 2 old people, making the schedule by hand.
And then, speaking of Manfred, did we talk about this last week about the expansion, or did that come after?
I don't think we did.
Yeah, so it came after, and there's talk of MLB expanding to 32 teams and having that football alignment type of thing.
Yeah.
Last year, we were ahead of the game. We talked about it.
Yeah.
And we have it all lined up. There's some, prominent podcasters out there, sports people out there that are doing their own realignment. I like ours better, but hey, depending on which 2 teams it is, right?
A lot of people. I saw some bad realignments.
Real bad. They were bad. Yeah. And then a couple of teams changing divisions, which, to help with realignment. But I'm like, whew, that's not good. We'll have a link to the video that talks about that here. So if you want to check that out, go ahead and find that in the descriptions, and you'll be able to see that and watch it and let us know that we were right before Robbie Boy decided to do it, and who knows how they're going to rearrange it.
I mean, kind of the rumors that I saw, it looks like Salt Lake City's making a real push to be that Western team. And then Nashville, I think, is a lock.
Yeah, I think Nashville's a lock. And then
I think did we go with Portland or did we go with Salt Lake City?
We went Portland. I think we went Portland because it lines up better for
it lines
the
up
West.
A little bit better.
So Salt Lake might actually be better if we just looked at it, because we were having trouble where Kansas City and Colorado.
Right.
Colorado was the team. It's like, okay, Arizona, San Diego, and Houston, but with Portland, you have, the West Coast pretty much all lined up, and then you have the southern part, and there you have it. But yeah, we'll link it, and you guys can watch that episode there as well. All right. Any other things for the Reds moving in? I mean, we got the Dodgers, and then they come back home, I believe, for...
Yeah, I just know that everybody who's kind of in front of them in the wild card, we still play.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we've got a chance. Like, we play the Mets. If we take 2 out of 3 against the Mets, like, as long as we don't drop a bunch before we play them. We play the Cubs, Brewers. I think we have the Padres.
Yeah.
And who's the other wild card team right now?
So our teams, so we got the Dodgers right now, and then we've got 3 against St. Louis, 3 against Toronto, 3 against the Mets. Those are all at home. So we need to pack the stadium down there. Then we go on another West Coast trip to San Diego for 3, and then the Athletics in Vegas or wherever they're playing at, Sacramento for 3, and then St. Louis for 3. And then we have Chicago for 4. And then we close out our homestand on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the 23rd, 25th against Pittsburgh. And then our last 3 are in Milwaukee. Now, the one saving grace, I think the Mets, they still have to make a West Coast swing. And,
they've been struggling too.
Yeah. And the East Coast, East Coast teams going out to the West Coast teams, and especially if you're playing at 10 o'clock. I mean, baseball players are creature of habits, and their bodies get in a rhythm, and that's why a lot of those East Coast teams don't do very well on the West Coast. And the West Coast teams, especially in football, coming east.
Yeah, when
if it's a noon game, if it's a 1 o'clock game, that's it's 10 o'clock their time, and that's why it's tough. But yeah. All right. So any other things on the Reds as we move on? Nope. All right, let's go ahead and go to our trivia segment. Listeners, we have a shout out to Terry Traeger. My cousin actually hopped on one of our social media posts, and she did tell us the correct answer. So a shout out to her. So Sam, you want to go ahead and just review that, and we can talk
I think it was who has the longest streak of not being swept, and it was I can't remember who it was now.
St. Louis Cardinals.
St. Louis Cardinals, that's right. Yeah, and way back in I think like the 1920s or something. Or
it was 42, 3, 4, something like that.
That's right. Yeah, because the Yankees were second, with the murderers row, and then somehow the Orioles,
Orioles, yeah,
the Orioles from a couple years ago when they were bad, were third. So yeah, and the Reds were nowhere close.
Not yet, but they're getting there.
They're
getting
alive.
there.
Still alive.
They are still alive. You are correct. All right. So now my trivia question is, just yesterday with 2 home runs, or Sunday, to give him 49 on the season, Mariners slugger catcher Cal Raleigh has set the major league record for most home runs in a season by the catcher. Tell me the next 3 in line. So who did he pass along the way to get this record? So the next 3.
I'm gonna say Piazza. No. Bench.
No. Bench is he's number 3 now on the list with 45 home runs in 1970.
Okay, so he passed Bench. Yogi Berra?
Nope.
Yeah.
2 recent guys. One recent guy, and the other 2003.
And it wasn't Piazza.
Yeah, this guy when I tried to, I totally forgot all about him.
What about Pudge? He didn't really hit home runs like that, though, did he? 2003. Let's see, the more recent guy, is it Gary Sanchez? No, he had a year
Nope.
where he hit a bunch.
He did, but not
that many.
Nope. Yeah, this guy had the record at 48.
48, and it was somewhat recently?
Yeah. 2021.
Wow, wow, it shows you how little I'm paying attention to baseball these days.
And the caveat of this, I should say, is like from the stat, minimum 50% of their games had to be at catcher. That's what the record is. 50% of their games have to be at catcher. So they could have been a DH or played first base or something.
Yeah.
We'll give you another 20 seconds or so to come up with
Yeah.
one American League, one National League.
Is the American League the recent one, or
Yeah.
which one's? Okay, so American League's more recent. National League, American League. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one.
All right.
That's
so
really
if you
tough.
think you guys and gals out there in trivia land and social media land know the answer and you want to help out Sam like Terry did, you can do that a couple of different ways. You can shoot us a direct message on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at CincySportsScn with your answer, or you can wait for the video, the little short come out on Facebook and Instagram and also YouTube here, and you can leave your answer in those comments. So if you think you know the other two without looking, that's the key. Don't be a cheater, Ed. You can go to Cincy Sports Scene, find us, and answer your question. You never know. We might have a shout out for you or a special prize. So, all right, let's move into our topic of the week. It is getting closer to football season, and week 0 kicked off last week. We got week 1 coming up. Our beloved Bearcats are taking on the Nebraska Cornhuskers in Arrowhead on August 20th. It's my birthday, so I'll be watching them out on the deck and hoping they can get a victory to start off the year. But we're going to go through our key players on offense, our key players on defense, any key additions, and then we'll break down our predictions for the season. All right, Sam, let's talk. First of all, let's talk Big 12. Let's talk overall. What are you looking for these Bearcats?
Yeah, I mean, game 1, I just want to make sure that Sorsby's dad doesn't fight his brother or any other siblings in the parking lot after the game. So I think as long as we can do that, we've got a leg up on Kansas State. That was wild. Yeah, I mean, the Big 12, I mean, we mentioned it a little bit last week. It's probably the most open of the power conferences. There's not going to be a real dominant team. There's going to be a bunch of good teams, some okay teams. I don't really think there's going to be any bad teams. So it's not like there's any guaranteed wins in the conference either. Right. If you're looking at it from UC's perspective. I mean, when we get into the key guys, it's really going to be on them to make sure that we're one of the teams competing for Big 12 championship.
Right. Well, let's go ahead and move on. I mean, that's a great segue. Let's go ahead and move on to the key guys. Let's start with offense. Obviously, I think we probably agree the key guy on offense is Sorsby, Brendan Sorsby, the quarterback. Yep. He's on the Unitas watch list. If he can have a season like he did last year, but improve a little bit in certain areas, I think it bodes well for this offense, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, they're only going to be as good as he allows them to be. If he's, I mean, that stretch that he had kind of last year where he struggled. I know he was dealing with I can't even remember what it was, but he had some sort of just nagging injury. I think it was something with his hand. That's if he's going through some struggles like that, they're not going to be very good. But if he can return back to his freshman year form when he was at IU, I mean, he was a really good quarterback. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're only going to go as far as he can take them.
Yeah, and his probably favorite target, Joe Royer, is on another watch list for tight ends. This UC's becoming tight end U here all of a sudden.
Yeah, they're getting some guys. Yeah, they really are.
Producing a lot of great pass catching tight ends. So, those are the two guys. And then who do you get? Anybody else on the offense that you're?
Pryor. I mean, he's going to take over pretty much full time for Kiner now. So he's going to be the main guy. So I'm going to be curious if he can kind of step up and take that. Because, I mean, he was more of the third down passing situation guy
Right.
last year. So I'll be curious to see if he can handle the workload. Because, I mean, he's an explosive running back. He's fast. He's good out of the backfield at catching. But I'm going to be interested to see how well he is between the tackles on first down, how well he can hold up, and if that explosiveness will translate there as well.
Yeah, I had him and also Walker. I had that running back tandem because you see here under Scott Satterfield has really liked that tandem 2-3 running backs season.
They do. Yeah.
And so I that's going to be a watch for me. And then also another key is Gavin Gerhardt, the center. Can he? Because we lost a couple of offensive linemen. Can he make sure that we're a cohesive unit and protect Sorsby so that he has time to throw and also open up those holes? So those are the key players from my standpoint. You got anybody else on the offensive side of the ball before we get to the defensive side?
I mean, I don't necessarily have a person per se, but really who's going to step up in the wide receiver room? I mean, they lost Xavier Henderson. So, I mean, he was kind of the main receiver. I know they're still going to have Royer, who's probably be the number one target. So, I mean, I'm curious to see who's going to step up and kind of hopefully separate themselves and kind of be the number one receiver.
All right. Let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. And I think it all starts with the return of the Godfather.
Yes, it does.
Corleone needs to have the kind of season that he had his freshman and sophomore year in order for
the first round pick talk type of season. Yeah.
He has to do that or else it could be a long season.
And I mean, last year it was a blood clot, right?
Yes.
He had something where, they had to hold him out. He didn't really have the off season or the quote unquote training camp. So, he's had a full off season, healthy, and he's going to be ready to go. So I'm expecting big things from him. I really am.
Yeah, I do too. I can't wait to watch him play Thursday night because he's going to go try to make he's going to try to make a statement. Now he's also going to get double and triple teamed, chip blocked and all that kind of stuff with Nebraska's offense that Matt Rule runs. They're going to take him away. They're going to say you cannot beat us, right? And this is where the great players step up. It's like when there has to be a play made, can you make it? I think the Godfather will make more than he won't. Any other keys on defense from your standpoint?
Jack Dingle at linebacker. Somebody else in the, behind Corleone's going to have to step up and make plays. Because, I mean, Corleone, he'll make tackles, but he's not going to be a big tackle guy, especially if he's taking 2 or 3 blockers. The linebackers are going to have one-on-one opportunities, and they need to clean them up. I mean, Dingle, he was decent last year, but if he can be, borderline all Big 12, then, I mean, the defense should be in a good spot.
Yeah. So, Dingle was on my list, but the linebacker core in general, you got Jake Golday, who was a transfer in last year. He is actually the leading top returning tackler for the defense. He had 58.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, he had 58 tackles and 7.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles and 1 fumble recovery. So he's one that to go along with Dingle and those light, I would say those linebacking core, they'll be able to make a lot of tackles, especially if Corleone's taking up 2 blockers, right? So that's what you want. You want those guys to scrape and make the play. And we've got 2 of them that are really good in Dingle and Golday. And then my only concern on the defensive side of the ball is in the secondary. I know we have a couple of returning, but they didn't get a whole lot of playing time. We lost a bunch to the NFL or just to graduation. So, I'm going to be watching how the secondary, especially the safeties, play.
Yeah.
Just
the one thing, though, especially recently, like our secondary, even when the guys are coming in unknown, they play pretty well. That's the one thing that has kind of been consistent, even under Fickle, even with Satterfield. The secondary's been a pretty good unit.
Yeah, I saw an interview Satterfield gave when they broke camp from Higher Ground, and he said that when the first couple of weeks, the wide receivers were, our defensive backs were clueless. He said, he didn't really say clueless, but he said they got the better of them for like 2 whole weeks, just because they weren't used to the speed, they weren't used to the moves. Now, as we're breaking camp, he said our cornerbacks are starting to play fast and they're starting to feel comfortable. So hopefully they go into
Yeah, I've got
Nebraska, they don't get
the roster pulled up. Yeah, I've got the roster pulled up, and we've got another kind of all nickname guy if he can pan out.
who's it?
I don't know if you saw it. Zay Johnson. His nickname is Gravy. He goes by
Gravy.
Gravy.
Oh,
So
nice.
we had sauce. Now we
Sauce.
got
Yep.
gravy.
Gravy. There you go. All right.
I'll be rooting for him.
Yep. And then the last thing that we have here is any key additions that you have. I mean, for me, it's probably the wide receiver, right? Jeff Caldwell came out of an FCS school. Cannot remember which one, but he's 6'5", so he's a big target for Sorsby. He had 52 catches last year and for 1,011 yards plus 10 touchdowns. So, you look at the Zay, was it Henderson that he had 2 years ago that we
Xavier
had?
Henderson.
Yeah. And, a big guy like
bigger
that.
target.
Yeah. So he's a key. And then the two offensive linemen, the transfer in from Ball State, Teo, and then Cotton from South Dakota, just to see how they mesh. And, both one's a tackle, one's a guard. So hopefully, they'll be able to make some holes, protect, and we can win.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's go to the fun part, the schedule breakdown. So let's start with the Nebraska game. Like I said, it's Thursday, August 28th. It is in Arrowhead Stadium. This is the game that should have been in Indianapolis, but for some reason they elected to go to Arrowhead.
And Cunningham decided that he didn't want to have a backbone. And
it's something, but it's a home game for the Bearcats still, but it's going to be probably 3/4 of Nebraska red.
I think I saw 80% is what the kind of the guesstimate has been.
All right.
So
who do you have? What do you have?
I mean, I don't know how good Nebraska is going to be, but they're going to have the home field advantage. It's going to be loud. Nebraska fans travel well. They don't even have to travel far. And I just don't trust Satterfield to have the guys ready, unfortunately. So I have Nebraska winning.
Yeah. I mean, I think Nebraska, like we talked about in our Big Ten, Nebraska could be one of those sleeper teams that has a run like Indiana if they get off on the right track. And this is a game that they have to get off on the right track for. It's Matt Rule's third year in Nebraska. So, it's going to be one of those things that, they have to get done. So I got UC losing to Nebraska 31-28. It's going to be close. First game's either blowouts or they're really close. But I think this one's going to be pretty close. All right, week 2, they come back home and they've got the Bowling Green Falcons in town. That should be a win, right?
Yeah, I mean, that should be a win, yeah. Which, they took Miami off the schedule just to play another MAC school. Why are we not playing Miami?
Actually, it was Miami's choice because...
But still.
Yeah, because
it
was one of those things that it was like, hey, we are not coming to Cincinnati 3 out of the 4 years. We got to do it. You got to come to Miami twice. We'll come to Cincinnati twice. So that was one of the reasons why. But yeah, so they filled that with Bowling Green. And then week 3, they're at the Nip again. Northwest State should be a blowout win. A lot of.
Should be.
This is the game that your second, third stringers walk-ons should be playing. If not, it's going to be a long year. It's going to be a long, long year. All right, then we got our really, if you want to call it the first big road test where we go to Kansas. Open up the Big 12 play, week 4. What are you thinking?
Kansas is good. They're good now in football, which is surprising. Got their stadium is finishing up renovations. They just got a bunch of money poured in to their athletic department. But that being said, I think UC gets it done against Kansas just because their quarterback is really good, but he is injury prone. So there's no guarantee that that's who we're going to be going up against. In Kansas, they still don't have the depth required to be, a really good team. They've got guys that can make them have a good record, but to be a good team, you've got to have some depth. Kind of banking on that a little bit, which I know I probably shouldn't.
And what's scary is, Leopold, the head coach, is really good at being the underdog, right? When nobody is saying, there's no expectations. That's where he surprises a lot of people. I do have UC winning that as well. So they're coming off, 3 wins. And then it gets into a tough stretch of the game. We're at home versus Iowa State. The Cyclones under Matt Campbell have always been up there in the Big 12. They could be the team that, that wins it all in the Big 12. I've got UC losing at home 24-23 by a point. I mean, I think it's going to be that close.
Yeah, I've got them losing as well. Ohio State, they beat Kansas State yesterday, obviously. Yeah, I thought they looked pretty solid, especially for, first game of the year going across the ocean, So, yeah, I think Iowa State's got a chance to win the conference. I know when we talked last week, I was a little iffy, but just seeing them play, I mean, Matt Campbell's always going to have that team be better than they should be. I mean, he's a really good coach.
He is a really good coach.
I think they'll end up winning that.
All right, and then the next one is always a tough game for him. UCF is coming to Nip, and Scott Frost is back at UCF, so we have no idea if he can recreate that magic of that undefeated season, or if it's going to be just a regular middle of the pack UCF type of team. I have the Bearcats beating them, but it's going to be close. I got them beating them by 3.
Yeah, I've got UC beating them as well. I don't think UCF's going to be all that good, and they're the most annoying team. I can't stand anything about them, about just the school in general. Just so annoying. Claiming national championships because you went undefeated, and it's like, okay. And then UC should put something up in the rafters too. We went undefeated and actually got invited to the college football playoff, unlike UCF. So,
Yep. All right.
Never going to pick UCF to win anything. So.
All right. Then we travel to Stillwater, week 7, Oklahoma State Cowboys, the Pokes. This is the game that I think we're going to have a hiccup in. Mike Gundy. I like Mike Gundy as a coach. I think he has some stuff, and if he'll find another Ollie Gordon or somebody else where he'll hand the ball off 40 some times, he'll find some weakness and exploit it. And I think this could be the game that it won't be close. I have them losing. I have the Bearcats losing 42-27.
So for me, it's going to come down to the time that they play this game. If they play at night, UC loses. If they play during the day, I think UC wins. And of course, times for conference games haven't been decided yet. I'm going to say Oklahoma State's not going to be very good up to this point. So it's going to be a day game, and UC wins.
All right.
I reserve the right to change my mind if it changes to a 7:30 kickoff.
Yep. All right. And then Baylor comes to town. And Baylor is the darling of the Big 12 now. So David Randa's team, and all the media polls that I've seen, they're favored to win the league, which, we know that can be a roll of the dice here.
Doesn't mean anything in the Big 12,
right?
Because Arizona State was picked to finish last.
Right.
So.
Right. So I do have the Bearcats losing to Baylor by 10.
I've got UC winning. It's homecoming. I think that's going to help them out a little bit. They're going to have a good record going into this game. The crowd's going to be into it. I think UC is going to pull it off. I know everybody's saying Baylor's going to be this and that, but I'm not sold yet on Baylor. I'll have to see it a couple of times. I know, last year they were pretty good. Year before that, they only won 2 games.
Yeah, but they beat UC at UC.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I mean
Miami did too. So.
Yes, right. But all right.
And then UC was not good. No. Not good that year.
And then we travel to Salt Lake City to play Utah. And those of you that listened last week, it was Utah could be the surprise, which it's really not a sleeper, but they're down. I have them losing because this could be a night game as well there. And if it is, so I have them losing by 3. And Utah is just a tough place to play. Coach is a great coach. He'll have them ready. He'll always battle, and they're always going to be in the game.
Yeah, I mean they could be 0-8.
Yeah,
but they'd still come out and play. And I have UC losing as well.
Is their eighth year quarterback back? I mean, isn't he back?
No, he is gone. Their quarterback is actually Zach Wilson's younger brother.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Their quarterback.
Yeah, because what's his name? Whoever it was, Dalton Reiser or whatever. I don't know, but whoever was
not Dalton Reiser. It was Cameron.
Cam Rising. Yeah, Cam Rising.
Cam Rising.
Yeah, Cam Rising. Yeah, he was the quarterback.
I'm pretty sure he's my age.
Yeah,
I think he was in my high school class. Yeah.
All right, so let's go to Arizona. Then comes to town. That should be a win.
Yeah, Arizona's not
Yep.
going to be good this year. I
Nope.
think that's one of the few kind of locks.
Right.
They've lost way too much talent. They weren't even all that good last year.
Yep.
They're not going to be very good.
And then BYU comes to town in week 11. And I think just because they're coming to town, I think we're going to. We've played BYU.
Yeah, it's the opposite of Utah. Yeah.
Yep. I think we played BYU pretty well when we went out there last year. And I think we're going to get the victory. It's going to be close, but I think we'll get the victory.
I think so as well. I think we can win. You know, at this point of the year, they're going to start a true freshman.
Yeah.
Week 1. So, I mean, if he's still starting, that means obviously they've been playing pretty well, which is a little bit scary. But there's a decent chance that they'd be on their backup by then, too. You just never know if you're starting a true freshman.
Yep. And then the last game, week 12, they're at the Horned Frogs, TCU, and I have them winning that as well.
I have them losing that game, actually. I just think, traveling, it'll be TCU's senior night. TCU's, you just kind of TCU's never bad, but they haven't been good in a while. But they're just going to be a solid team, and I think it'll be a close game, but I think TCU will end up winning.
All right, so I have the Bearcats finishing the year bowl eligible at 7-5, so an improvement on last year's squad. Now, the question, what do you have them at? Are you at
8-4?
8-4. 8-4. Satterfield's safe. 7-5.
Yeah, unfortunately, he probably gets an extension.
Satterfield's safe at 7-5, making the bowl games now. Yeah, right. So they're
but 7-5. He might not get the extension though.
Right.
8-4. He's getting an extension.
Yeah, 8-4, getting an extension. And
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I need to find another loss or two in here, but.
All right. Well, that about wraps up our show. We appreciate you for hanging around and sticking around. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Turn on those notifications, let you know when we're dropping a new episode or a podcast or a short or reel about our trivia question and answer. And then it also just helps spread the word of Cincinnati sports to all the people that haven't found us yet. So do us a favor. Do that either on, the podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, any place where you're listening, or if you're watching, do that as well on YouTube and go ahead and let your people know that this is the Cincinnati Sports Network for all your sports favorites. So until next week, where we're going to be breaking down the Bengals preseason game, and we might even have a special guest on to talk about the Cleveland Browns and maybe have a little podcast rivalry with the AFC North division. So until then, I'm for Sam. I'm Dave. Everybody, take care.
See you.